Yes, tips are very important. Something happened to me. For the longest time, I was going to the restaurants in US and Canada, and in every restaurant in US and Canada, you have to give tips, right? It's either 15% or 20% or more, depending on the service and the restaurant. And in US and Canada, you take it for granted. You're like, yeah, I give tips. It's almost like tax to the point where you don't even think about it, you just do it. And the interesting thing from that perspective, when we think about East Asia, right, there is no tipping culture here. And from that perspective, we think, oh my God, it's so amazing. Those people live so well. They don't have to give tips every day. That's probably the best thing ever. And after spending some time in Hong Kong and Korea, I realized that the tips are the single most important mechanism in the service. Like the single important part of the service are the tips. And the reason why I say this, because the service in East Asia is really, really bad compared with what you get in US and Canada. So I'm gonna give you an example. If you go in a restaurant in Canada or US, the moment you arrive to the restaurant, somebody at the front welcomes you right away, like, hello, how are you? Welcome to our place. Then they ask you how many people, and then they bring you to your table, they sit you down, they bring you water, they give you menu. Like it's all very smooth and nice process, and a lot of smiles, a lot of like a small talk. It's nice. Then the server comes in, you having small conversation, they give you advice, they tell you about the menu. Like the whole experience is like such a beautiful storytelling with smiles and kindness and all of that. And that's the part of what makes that whole experience special. It's not just food, it's not design of the restaurant, it's the service and interactions. And by the time you finish food, somebody comes in and like, hey, how was your food? Is everything great? They also come and take your plates and dirty dishes away from your table. Like the whole experience is like a very smooth, nice treatment. Like you being basically treated as some kind of royalty every time you go to a restaurant in US and Canada. Of course, not every restaurant is the same, not every service is great, but in general, that's what you get. Then you go out, then you bring you a bill, and you don't even need to get up. You just sit down, you give tips, you pay, you're done, you leave. They like, have a good day. I hope you had a good time. Like, it's the whole thing is just amazing. And the reason why a lot of us go to restaurants in the West is not just for the food, but for the big part, we go there to feel good. Like we don't go to eat, we go to feel great. We go for amazing service. And that's one of the reasons I think, just a quick thing, Hai Di Lao is one of the best restaurants because of that beautiful service. But what I've noticed in Hong Kong and Korea is that the service here is non-existent. Like you don't get like a warm welcome, you don't get smiles, you don't get like anything special. It's the whole thing is basically you see a restaurant, you comes in a restaurant, sometimes no one even helps you, you just find a place to sit yourself. There is like a screen or digital menu, you press like buttons, the food comes out, somebody puts it on your table, you eat it and you leave. There is no service, there is no one being nice, there is no kindness, there is no smiles, there is no like hospitality. So the whole service in Korea, in Hong Kong is like, you came there, you ate, you paid, you left. That's the entire experience. And I feel like this is a big misstep because I think the hospitality is maybe the single biggest reason why Western people go to a restaurant. Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm just delusional and I go to restaurants because I like being treated well. But for me, that's number one reason. And I think the reason why there is such thing in Western countries is because of the tipping culture in a way. Because depending on how well you serve somebody, how kind and nice you are to them, and how good the food is, you're gonna get tips. So if you really, really serve somebody well, they're gonna give you big tips because people feel more generous and kind in this way. And this is not something that happened in East Asia because there is no tips. So there is no incentive to do a good service. The only incentive in East Asia, and I know this time I'm definitely not wrong, is to get you your food as fast as possible and leave. The purpose of service in East Asia, just get your food as fast as possible and that's it. And that's why in Hong Kong and in Korea, I don't really like going to restaurants because I pay money, but I don't receive service. I just receive food. And at this point, I'll just go home and I make food, or I just grab food from convenience store, or I'll just go to McDonald's because because I will get better service in McDonald's because it's a Western restaurant. And that's my biggest grip. I've been to Japan in a transit, so I caught a glimpse of Japanese service, just a very small glimpse. And in Japan, it wasn't different from that. It was quite similar in terms of like, you pay, you get what you want, and then you leave. There is like in some places you get like a greeting, like people loudly say like welcome, well in Japanese, and then they send you off, which feels great, but it's still not to the same extent what you get in the West. And that's why I think it's important to kind of incorporate that. I know it's gonna sound crazy, but maybe incorporate tipping culture in the East Asia, because maybe it would be nice that if you go to a restaurant or any like a service place in East Asia, people will treat you nice. Maybe that would be good. Maybe I'm a crazy person. Or maybe I don't get a good treatment because I'm a foreigner. I don't know. Maybe it's because people don't speak English very well, or whatever. Maybe there's hundreds of reasons. But I can tell you that there are other countries like Thailand, Indonesia, and Vietnam, and the service there is pretty amazing. Like people are very kind, smiley, and it's almost at the same. It's not at the same extent of US and Canada, but it's kind of in a similar way, but still nice. But I find East Asia to be pretty cold and pretty sad in terms of the service. It's just not great. The food is amazing, the culture is great, but the service is just absolute garbage.